Far to the north, in the Canadian Selkirk Mountains, melting snow begins trickling downward, destined for the sea. Down the range of mountains, down canyons and into streams, down to the headwaters where the long journey begins. Traveling an ancient course, an old yet new life begins for the river called Kootenay.
Down 600 miles, heading for the sea, flows the river onward through eternity. Kootenay, Kootenay.
Southward the river winds, through lands once the home of the Kootenay Indians. Centuries ago, the tribe migrated to the Tobacco Plains near the present U.S.-Canadian border. From there, gradually spreading north into Canada and south into Montana and Idaho. Although widely scattered, the different groups remained one tribe because of the river. The Kootenay was their domain, their lifeblood. Down past Canal Flat, the Kootenay runs to within 1 mile of the Columbia River, but the two will not join for another 500 miles. Here, David Thompson became the first white man to see the Kootenay River.
April 20th, 1808. I observed the river in general as a very smooth, easy current with a sufficient depth of water.
Thompson navigated most of the Kootenay by canoe, then returned to the headwaters of the Columbia by an overland route. His explorations established trade relations with the Indians and geographically recorded the source of the Columbia and the main channel of the Kootenay River. Farther downstream, the Kootenay widens still more with the waters from the St. Mary River, waters that surrendered a wealth in fur. With the War of 1812, rivalry between American and English fur companies became intense. Francis Phillip and Nicholas Montour lived to become friends. Not far behind the fur trappers were missionaries. Most prominent among them, Father Pierre Jean de Smet. He left his mission in the Bitterroot Valley in Montana and brought Christianity to the Kootenay region. The Indians met him with what he described as joy and filial affection. 100 miles north of the international border, Wild Horse Creek flows to the Kootenay. In 1864, Wild Horse became the biggest of the boom towns in the Kootenay gold fields. men lined the creek scratching for their fortunes. In only a short time, Kootenai placer gold played out. Only the shades of civilization were left behind. In the 1880s, big money opened up hard rock mines. Everything from lead to zinc was carved from the tunnels and shafts. Mines like the Silver King, the Bluebell, the North Star, and the St. Eugene. Bigger and better towns were built. The Kootenai was coming of age. The isolation of the vast Kootenai began to end with the coming of the railroads. The Canadian Pacific in the north, the Great Northern in the south. New rails meant machinery for mines and lumber mills, homesteaders for the farmland, and the birth of new towns. But the vital link to the railroads was the Kootenai. They had names like the Annerly, the Ruth, and the Gwendolyn, hauling freight and passengers one way, mineral ore for the smelters the other. Bedbugs were a standard item on some of the boats, and mosquitoes on all of them. But there was still no duplicate for a ride in a steamboat. She might have an engine from a St. Lawrence ferry, a boiler out of a Manitoba steam clock, or a hull from a railway barge. But the stern wheeler was the queen of the river. There were even those that rivaled the floating palaces of the Mississippi. For 30 years they rode the river, and the river took her share.
You know, in British Columbia, they do have big logs. Lots of them, you know, at the butt end will be 7 and 8 feet through. They had wonderful timber up there. And they'd cut a little notch in the tree, and then they'd have a little board, and they used to stand on that, one each side, and pull the saws. These motors, the donkey and the shale, they pull the logs with a cable, and if it was uphill, well, they'd lay a couple of logs down so that the logs wouldn't stick into the ground. I was the top paid man being a top loader, and I used to get from $45 to $50 a month. And the rest of the men, they used to get around 26.
Down 400 miles and 400 years, the river flows with lumber, gold, furs, down to give birth to Lake Kootenay. The Kootenay brings south the waters of the St. Mary, Wild Horse, the Elk, the Tobacco, and lays them before the great Libby Dam. She will continue 200 miles on to the Columbia and then to the Pacific. But this is the ultimate fulfillment of the Kootenay's devotion to man. The river possesses what man has searched for endlessly and can never take from her: immortality. She has seen the lives and deaths of thousands, and perhaps may someday see man in his final desperation. For always she will flow onward to the sea.
Down 600 miles, heading for the sea, flows the river onward through eternity. She's alive without time, and a time for every life. She's the one